We're here with Gavin Broadbent at the 2021 Queensland State Titles. Got a very special car that you've been racing with this weekend. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, well, I bought it back. I used to race it back in 2003 here at Brendale. I used to race in the gas tourer class, and so it had a full start engine. It was actually modified for a full start, so it had modified lay shafts and stuff like that. So we're racing rubber tyres, and I raced a club championship in 03, so that's how long ago it was. 2003, yeah, 18 years ago essentially. So yeah, it's a Kyosho V-One R, OS TR12 engine, and I had different pipe and different radio back then. I had a 29 meg radio back then, so Futaba radio. But yeah, I updated it to race this weekend. I decided to pull it out and give it another go. 18 years later, I had enough parts to put it together, and just updated the radio gear and the pipe, and had to make illegal bodies and stuff like that.
How had you found looking at the other cars that you competed with in the 200mm class? What stood out to you as the changes, or how the chassis evolved?
They've just gone forward in every area. You know, weight. The car's a lot heavier. It's probably 100 grams heavier than these cars. Well off the weight limit. So weight, engine power, just tuning in every area, tyres, just about everything. There's a small change. Probably the biggest change is the engines and the clutches. So this clutch is a pretty basic thing. It's just a plastic 2-shoe spring clutch, very basic clutch. Where these are extremely state-of-the-art clutches that we're up against this weekend. So amazing clutches, amazing engines. The engines have come a long way in that time. Even fuel, just about everything's come a long way, and the driving too. So the driving standard, way higher, and yeah, it's been amazing to see the level this weekend.
So we haven't done the finals yet, but where did you go in qualifying?
Qualifying, 13th I think it was. 13 out of 14. So
you have had your semi, that's right? You've done
I made it to the semi, yeah. And had a bit of a rough semi. I drove pretty solid actually, it wasn't too bad. The car handles quite good. It's just some real sitting duck on the straight, unfortunately. But yeah, I was interested I'd never actually raced it, so the story about it is that I raced it as a gas tourer, and then I updated to Pro Tourer, so foam tyres, different engine, starter box, all that stuff. But I only ever raced it just for fun, like just at some Christmas party back in like 04 or something like that. I think I ran it. Had a bit of fun with it. I enjoyed it on the foam tyres. I loved it. But for some reason I took up other things, so I was doing other forms of the hobby.
I was going to ask you about that. You're quite an accomplished helicopter pilot?
Yeah, at one stage I was probably up in the top 30 or so in the world for helicopters, 3D helicopters. And I've worked in the industry. I've worked with the design of helicopters as well. Flown precision aerobatics, so fixed wing precision aerobatics, flown at the world level for that. So I actually come from an aerial side, so into drones and all that. But cars, I do like cars. Full-scale cars, I do a bit of on-road racing. At Lakeside, so proper race cars, yeah, real racing, and that's quite exciting. It's pretty low cost stuff, so fairly the class they call not a Grand Prix. So, but you have a roll cage, it's forward focus, good for probably a minute 9, a minute 8 around Lakeside, which is fairly trucking.
It's not slow, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're racing today with the stick radio as you used to?
No. I always ran wheel and trigger. So for cars, I'm definitely wheel and trigger. I feel more comfortable that way. Obviously for helicopters and for aeroplanes, it's stick. Yeah, quite sophisticated stick radio. So, yeah.
You want to take the body off and just have a quick look?
Yeah, sure.
At the car?
So yeah, the body's new, obviously, homologated body. You can see. So yeah, it's a V-One R, TR12, Futaba radio gear. Yeah, the first bit on time fuel. Back when I was racing before, you had like communal transponders, so the transponder would be in the body. So you didn't have your own personal transponder. So that was new to me. I didn't realise you had to get that. So I just decided like 3 or 4 weeks ago to run it as a bit of fun. Really, it was just to see if I could do it again. And I must be honest, it was pretty intimidating being out there on Thursday amongst 8 fast 10s, all the cars really, and trying to get to grips with it again. It was really quite tricky, particularly amongst all those cars. But I managed. It didn't break it, so yeah.
It's always looked immaculately clean all weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got
a lot of pride in it, which is really great to see.
Yeah, so it's old, but it's in good condition, and yeah, it's a strong car. It's taken a fair beating, that's for sure. So yeah, all the new stuff is like the air filter, ins, all that here. So yeah, 2-speed. These servos were out of a helicopter. Actually, I just had them sitting around. They actually are car servos, but they were actually quite popular in helicopters because they have short leads. So the car servos have got short cables, which is really good for helicopter. For an aeroplane, you want long cables. It's almost as long as you can get. But with this, the nice short cables makes it really neat and tidy.
So the only big question remaining, mate, is are you hooked?
Am I going to continue with it?
Are you back?
I think so. I have an invite to drive a car at the Nationals, so that might be on the cards. Yeah, so in November I might come back and run again. It might be my car, it might be somebody else's car, but next time it'll definitely be a competitive car. Yeah.
That'd be great, mate. It'd be good to see you out there, and thanks for showing us your car and having a chat with us.
It just goes to show that you can have fun with just about anything, you know, and it doesn't matter how old it is, you know, as long as you're having fun and enjoying it, that's the main thing.
Excellent, mate. Well, yeah, thanks for the chat. Really
No
appreciate
problem.
it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, cheers.